We are continuing today, Meretz Hashem, on Shushan Purim in Shaar Habitachon. And the Mechaber explains, remember again, we spoke about in yesterday's Shiur, that the ultimate goal is to become an Oved Hashem. That's the ultimate goal, to become a servant of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How does one accomplish that? Through bitachon, placing one's trust and sense of security in the Ribono Shel Olam. And here the Mechaber continues and he says, V'miftach ha'adam al chachmaso v'tachbulosa v'ka'kufa v'ishtadluso. If a person decides instead of trusting in Hashem, he places bitachon in his own wisdom, or he places his trust in his own efforts and physical abilities, yiga l'rik, a person will toil for naught. Person will toil for nothing. He says, She'ech lash kocho, v'tiktzar tachbaluso, mehasik chavtzo. Because at the end of the day, a person has a finite amount of strength. A person has a finite amount of effort. And the truth is, often what ends up happening is that a person's wisdom or personal power or strength will not be able to allow them to actualize their goals on their own. Kimo shamar akosov, locate chachamim ba'armam, ba'amar, shebate v'ra'av tachas hashmash. This is actually interesting. It quotes the pasuk first from Eov and then from Koheles. So focusing a bit more on this second pasuk, Shebate v'ra'a tachas hashmash. So again, in the Perush here, he writes, Chazarti lehizbonin benasa ba'olam hazeh v'ra'isi sheteva advarim ena mukhrach. Literally again, Chashon HaMelech writes, I looked around all of the different dealings of this world, and ultimately I saw that often things don't truly come to fruition. Kilo lakalim hamerots, because even sometimes a person who is very light on his feet doesn't accomplish everything he wants to. Nor do the strong always win the battle. Nor do wise people always have what to eat. The idea that Shlomo Melech is saying is, I've looked around the world and I've seen that even if a person has all of the necessary physical components for success, right? A person has zrizos, a person is willing to work hard, a person is willing to put in effort, a person is wise, a person is strong. Those physical determinants by themselves are not a guarantee of success. Va'amar kfirim rashu v'ra'evu. So there are people who are very strong, yet sometimes they're poor and they're hungry. Yet v'dar she'Hashem lo yachzru kotov. But those who ultimately put their faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu lack for nothing. So the idea that the Mechaber is trying to point out over here is the danger of putting bitachon in one's own abilities, powers, or prowess. Now again, it doesn't mean that, of course, one shouldn't believe in themselves. Of course, what we're talking about over here is, where do you place bitachon? Where do you place your ultimate trust or what is the ultimate source of your success? So what the Mechaber is describing over here is that very often in life, we make the mistake of assuming that our success comes from our own efforts. Our own efforts are necessary to secure success, but at the end of the day, success comes from the Ribono Shel Olam. He gives other examples. V'im yiftach berov ashro. Maybe a person will go out and put his faith in his wealth. Yusar mimenu. Here's the problem. The problem is wealth can be taken. V'yishar lezulaso. Alright, ultimately again, be given to someone else. Kimo shamar akasav asher yishkav v'lo ye'asef. Enof bikeach ve'enenu. Sometimes a person goes to sleep and he's wealthy, and he wakes up in the morning and he doesn't have it anymore. So again, the Mechaber is explaining people often put their faith in their wealth. If I have money, if I have wealth, then I have security. That's my bitachon. The only issue with that is that it's wrong, because you could have wealth one day and it's gone the next. Va'amar al tiga lahashir. Ultimately, don't put all of your efforts ultimately into becoming wealthy. Because ultimately, again, if a person puts all of their efforts into acquiring wealth, that takes away some of their time and some of their efforts from spiritual development and spiritual growth as well. And therefore, again, Shlomo Melech writes in Mishlei, Va'amar hatoif einecha bo ve'einenu. The incredible part about wealth is that sometimes, like we said before, you could have it, you blink your eyes and it's gone. Va'amar bechatzi yamav ya'azvenu uba'achariso yihye novel. Literally, again, you could acquire wealth, and then in the middle of your life, it leaves you, and at the end of your life, you could be left impoverished. Oh, timana mimenu hana asabo. This is actually incredibly profound. Sometimes the other piece, why wealth is not, one should not put their sense of bitachon in their wealth, is something very interesting. Sometimes a person has it, they have wealth, but the person can't enjoy it. Now, why can't the person enjoy it? Because sometimes a person is stingy, or sometimes a person is always worried about losing their wealth, or perhaps not spending their wealth. So you could have it, and yet not enjoy it at all. Kasher amar hacham v'lo yashitena elokim le'echal mimenu via etzlo kipikadon sheshomer oso min hapegoim. Sometimes a person has wealth and he has everything he needs, but he's so scared to use it, lest he lose it, that he doesn't even enjoy it. Ad sheyashav lemishu ra'i lo kimo she'amar ulechote nasan so ultimately, sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu goes ahead and puts into the heart of the sinner that even though he has all of this wealth, he refuses to allow himself to enjoy it, to use it. He says, So the idea, see, you understand the pattern that's happening over here, is that the Mechaber is trying to go through all of the different things in life that people tend to put their bitachon in, and to show us how often it's flawed, because those things come and go, right? So a person could put their bitachon, a person could put their sense of belief or sense of security, in their wisdom, in their physical prowess. The problem is life doesn't work out that way. There are strong people who lose wars. There are smart people who don't get ahead, and there are people who are light on their feet, but yet still can't accomplish their goals. Person could put their faith in their wealth. The problem with that is wealth is here one day and mamish gone the next. He goes on, he says, "Ve'efshar she'hamamon sibas ra'asa va'avda nafsho." Furthermore, sometimes wealth could be the source of one's suffering. We often look at wealth as a bracha, which of course it can be, as it could enable a person to accomplish many things, enable a person to help out many others. But sometimes, unfortunately, wealth could also be a source of incredible pain and suffering. Yesh ra'a chola, ra'isi tachas hashemesh, Osher Shamor Levalov Leraaso. So ultimately, again, so Shlomo writes in Koheles that there is Yeshra Acholera Isitach. I saw a terrible sickness underneath the sun, and what is that? Osher Shamor Levalov Raaso. Wealth that ultimately, again, Shamor means is set aside or prepared to ultimately bring about misfortune upon its owners. So the problem, therefore, says the Mechaber, with going ahead and placing your bitachon in wealth, is that number one, you can't always hold on to it, right? It's fleeting. And number two, sometimes wealth doesn't necessarily bring with it bracha and prosperity in its wake. Sometimes, unfortunately, wealth brings incredible heartbreak and incredible difficulty. So, of course, we see where the Mechaber is going with all of this. The ultimate conclusion, the ultimate goal is going to be the need to place one's bitachon, one's sense of belief, and one's sense of security in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because all the other things that we tend to place our bitachon in are things often that are finite, fleeting, and to be honest, completely unreliable. So we'll stop over here for today, and the Meretz Hashem will come full circle with this discussion, Meretz Hashem, tomorrow. Wishing everyone a wonderful day.